Today I want to turn our attention back to South Sudan, where the mission is truly alive and some great people are working there. This is Mission Alive with Roger from the MSC Mission Office. You remember the last few weeks we had talking to us on videos Father Alan Neville, who's from the Sudan. He's Irish. He came to us he came visiting through Sydney, and he gave us time to do some videos for us, and he appeared like that. Then before that we're doing a direct video link with him in South Sudan, and he appeared more like that. And so when the Pope visited Juba recently on a visit to South Sudan, then Alan was there with people from Rumbek where he is, and some of our sisters were there, including Sister Rita. What I will do now, from our Missionary of the Sacred Heart Missa course site, I will simply read out his report from that, and we've got his whole report there. So from the MSC site, MSC and Ulster Sisters in South Sudan, a report, papal visit by Alan Neville, MSC Irish Province. MSC and Ulster in South Sudan, a report, papal visit. Juba International Airport is chaotic at the best of times. It is only for the hardiest of travellers with a sense of reckless abandon and the sturdiest suitcases. On Friday the 3rd of February, though, it reached new heights. As I flew back into Juba, the Pope was beginning his ecumenical pilgrimage to South Sudan, along with the Archbishop of Canterbury and the moderator of the Scottish Presbyterian Church, just 2 hours later. The crowds were heaving with singing and dancing. Officials were everywhere waving arms and shouting, and ironically, for a peace pilgrimage, there were plenty of military to make sure everything went without a hitch. So there we have a photo of a group gathered with the Pope, and on the far right you'll see our Sister Rita. The Vatican and the Pope in particular have been involved in promoting peace in South Sudan for the last decade. When he met the President and Vice President in Rome in 2019, the Pope stunned those present by getting down on his knees, kissing their feet and begging that they would work for peace in the world's newest country. This powerful act of humility demonstrated, more beautifully than words ever could, how committed he was to building a different future for a people in need of peace, of hope. After dropping off my bags, I joined the group from our Loreto school, lining the road to welcome the Pope. If I was tired after my flight, it was nothing in comparison to what they must have been feeling. Over the previous 9 days, they had walked as part of a pilgrimage of peace from our school in Rumbek to Juba. A group of 90 students, interns, religious and youth walked from village to village on the way to the capital, witnessing to peace. Each evening they performed a play in the marketplace on the theme reconciliation and non-violence. And there is a photo of Father Alan and some others there along the side of the road greeting the Pope. And brothers, and that play that they performed, Brothers and Sisters, It Is Time for Peace. With all the police cars racing up and down the official route, we almost missed the Pope as he drove from the airport in his usual understated Fiat. He was to spend the first day meeting with the President, politicians and the diplomatic corps. His message was encouraging, but given that 27 people were killed the day before in a vicious revenge attack just 3 hours outside of Juba, uncompromising. Quoting the Pope, "Years of peace and conflict seem never to end, and recently, even yesterday, there have been bitter clashes. At the same time, the process of reconciliation seems stagnant and the promise of peace unfulfilled. May this protracted suffering not be in vain, May the patience and the sacrifices of the South Sudanese, this young, humble and courageous people, challenge everyone, and like the seeds sown in the soil that give life to plants, allow peace to blossom and bear fruit. Brothers and sisters, it is time for peace.
Amen.
The following morning, the Pope met with priests and religious working around the country in the cathedral. He remembered those sisters and priests who had been murdered in recent years, but also offered words of encouragement. Immediately afterwards, our youth who had walked from Rumbek had an opportunity to meet the Pope and have a photo taken with him on the steps of the cathedral. He had heard their story and wanted to meet them personally. To say that they were on cloud nine afterwards would be an understatement. It would be something that they would never ever forget. Later that day, the Pope met with internally displaced Sudanese living around Juba, only a small group of over 2 million people who have had to leave their homes due to flooding or fighting. Many have been living in camps for so long, returning will be the next to impossible. Mapuradit, where the Daughters of Our Lady of the Sacred Heart minister, was a refugee camp before independence, but has now become a permanent settlement. Pope Francis agreed that many of the local leaders that this cannot be the way. Only with peace, stability and justice can there be development and social integration. There is no room for further delay. Great numbers of children born in recent years have known only the reality of the camps for displaced people. They have no memory of what it means to have a home. They are losing their connection with their native land, their roots and their traditions. The future cannot lie in refugee camps. On Saturday evening, the Pope joined Archbishop Welby and the Reverend Ian Greenshields, the church leaders from around South Sudan, to pray for peace. In particular, they identified the problems of violence against women as a persuasive reality and spoke of the role women have played and will play as peacemakers, justice seekers and future leaders. The response of the people there was joyous, even if many had to wait hours in 40-degree heat just to witness it. Finally, on Sunday we celebrated with the Pope in the John Garang Memorial Park. It was a capacity congregation, and if you weren't there at 4 a.m. you weren't getting a seat. When the Pope drove around the site at the beginning giving his blessing, he was greeted by cheers and ululations in his homily. In his homily he spoke of Saint Josephine Bakhita, one of the patron saints of the country, and her flight from slavery to freedom, overcoming some of the worst challenges imaginable. Instead of becoming embittered by her struggle, she used it to inspire her and those around her to witness to their faith. Hope is the word I leave with you all as a gift to share, a seed to bear fruit. As St. Josephine reminded us, women, especially here, are a sign of hope in a special way. I thank and bless all the women of the country. As the Pope started his journey back to Rome, we hopped on to the bus and joined our ragtag collection of cars on the drive back to Rumbek. Last year this journey would not have been possible due to insecurity, but things have become more settled. Hopefully a sign of things to come. 14 hours, one flat bus tyre and one broken down car later, we arrived back in Loreto, Rumbek. An amazing journey for all of us, but for South Sudan, one that is continuing. Nihalik Kenyan, Father Alan, and thank you for joining us on Mission Alive.